Hello there, welcome to a delayed episode 26 of Never Mind the Bullens. I'm Mike Peters. This is your bite-sized weekly Everton podcast and vodcast. Following on from the Burnley game of sorts, because I've got to be honest with you, I'll level up with you straight away, that I didn't see the game. I was busy live streaming a wedding, as weddings have now returned with us coming out of lockdown and what have you. So I was doing that. So I've only seen a portion of the highlights. I did attempt to watch some the full game in full, but couldn't find a way of doing that. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the game, obviously, a little bit, but we're going to put it in the context of the rest of the season, and particularly the last 12 months, because I think it's a good chance, as we approach the end of the year, and a year since Marco Silva was sacked, to sort of reflect on kind of where we're at. Because I listened to some of the game on the radio, on Radio Merseyside. I heard some of the post-match phone-in on Radio Merseyside as well, which is always an eye-opener. Obviously, the result was disappointing. We won 3 points, and there is... I can feel, a growing frustration in what I see and what I read and what I hear from Evertonians. And I completely understand that in terms of where we are in the season. And after having got off to such a brilliant start, to now be kind of, struggling a bit and not getting the results, and our run of form has been poor, which I've talked about, on this podcast recently, where we're kind of at. Going to a club that's barely scored any goals, a team that's barely scored any goals this season and is struggling at the wrong end of the table, although I think Burnley will be fine, and they will get themselves out of any trouble that they're in. You want to go there and you want to win, but we then concede an early goal. Alan makes a mistake, and Robbie Brady hits an excellent shot, and Jordan Pickford has no chance. In fact, he kept us in the game, made a couple of excellent saves, and again continuing his sort of return to form after that enormous amount of media scrutiny that he was under earlier in the season. But our reliable players this season that were on the pitch, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, combining again for the goal, and Dom continues his hot streak, and long may that continue. But it seems to be, a lot of the frustration seems to be around about some of the selection decisions which have baffled some of us, particularly with the injuries that are affecting us with the likes of Seamus Coleman and Luca Dean, etc., and how we're kind of setting up and how we're allowing teams to come at us and really kind of play us at our own game, and really attack us and stifle us as well. And that's having an impact in terms of the effectiveness of James Rodriguez, who's really kind of gone off the boil, let's be fair, no matter how good he is and how good he was in the first few games of the season when everything was rosy in the garden. He's not been at it, and he's not, there are times when we're carrying him. Now, you have to get to a point with players, even world-class players like him, with undoubted quality, we have to go, well, how long can we keep effectively carrying a player? And we are getting to that point. Now, obviously, with the games coming thick and fast over the course of the next few weeks, particularly Goodison, which will be great. So, so many of us will be able to hopefully get back in there. I won't be at the Chelsea game on Saturday, but I hopefully will be at the one of the games over the course of the next few weeks, whether that be through the season ticket ballot or whether there are ticketing options, obviously, for the cup ties that are coming up, which seems to be what the club are suggesting. But how long can you carry it by that it's not working? Now, he's going to have to rotate what squad he's got. And, we've discussed about, we don't quite understand how Niels and Nkunku or John Joe Kenny is getting a look in and he's preparing to play players out of position, albeit that Fabian Delph obviously played as a left-back for Man City for, most of a season, where they won the league, to be fair. But, of course, he's now gone off with a hamstring injury on Saturday, and he looks like he's going to be out for several weeks. That looked a bit of a bad one. But it's now you're almost forced to kind of have to play Niels and Nkunku, or you're going to have to play somebody else out of position. Now, if you would have thought that, or certainly I would think, that if we played Niels and Nkunku against Burnley, and then not played him against Chelsea with their marauding wing-backs, you'd go, actually, that's quite a smart tactical decision, and add Fabian Delph there for that. But now, who else is there that we can play in that position against Chelsea on Saturday? That's where I'm kind of struggling, because, and again, with who's going to play at right back as well, it's kind of like, well, Alex Iwobi's going to have to play there, but that leaves us wildly exposed defensively. And Ben Godfrey obviously stepped up to the plate on Saturday and had to play left back, but that's a sticking plaster. That's a square peg in round hole situation. So you have to wonder, what are we going to do over the course of the next few weeks? And the bigger question, potentially, we know that obviously Carlo wants to buy more experienced players. I understand that. But why is he not willing to give these lads who have impressed in the games that they've played? Certainly Nkunku has. John Joe Kenny, well, that's arguable. But, John Joe Kenny's a much more experienced player at right back to be able to play. He's played, a full season in the Bundesliga. He's played plenty of games for Everton. He could easily play in the position that he's comfortable playing in rather than having to force somebody else into that position. I did hear somebody on Radio Merseyside suggesting that, play Mason Holgate as a left back. Well, he's played right back and he could play that again. That I could understand. But, if we've got a left back there and we want to, when we're losing so much of our attacking threat, it would be pragmatic if you're going to play an attacking fullback, young wing back, to play somebody that's a bit more defensively solid on the other side. That I could understand. But we have to. It was good. It was good to hear, because I was panicking when I was listening to the phone, and I was thought, with this sort of sense of dread, it was coming up on me, thinking somebody's going to suggest that they sack him. Somebody's going to come up and say, no, it's not good enough, he's got to go. And it's like, no, look at where we are. This season is a transitional season. We've got to accept that. We've still got the dregs of squads of managers past who are still trying to shift on, and players who are not doing the jobs that we need them to do, and are not ever going to do the jobs that we need them to do. And you can take your pick with some of those players. You can insert name here. So we've got to accept that this season is going to be a bit of a roller coaster, where when we're good, we're very, very good. And as we've already seen, when we're bad, we're horrid. So I think we have to be patient. Let's look at where we are. We're still, in the top half of the league with, and it's all very, very congested above us. So a couple of good wins against, with the run of fixtures that we've got against Arsenal, against Chelsea, against City, at home particularly, that's a chance for us to really climb the league. And we've still got, we're one game away from a Carabao Cup semi-final, or 2 games away from Wembley, whatever way you want to say it. We could end up winning something this season and having a good season. So we need to get away from this, although we're frustrated, particularly with, and sort of baffled with some of the personnel choices, and certainly some of the tactical choices at times in the way that the players set up. Even some of the players are coming out and saying, well, we're more comfortable playing in a 4 rather than playing in a 3. That's fair enough. That's fair comment. But we've got to just look at and put this in context of how far we've come from where we were a year ago, when, the world was caving in. Obviously, Marco Silva's era was at an end. It had been a real disaster, particularly the sort of second half of the first half of the second season that he was in charge. And look at where we are, and try and be positive that we are getting there. We are bringing the personnel in that we want. Ben Godfrey's come in, has done well. Alan, Abdoulaye Doucouré, James, no doubt, in a quality player. Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a hot streak. Fullbacks when they're fit. We've got a very, very good starting 11. It's the rest of it that seems to be the issue. It's that depth of squad that we don't have. We've got numbers, but we're not necessarily having quality. So there's no doubt over the course of the next few weeks where those of us who've been crying out for Anthony Gordon to be given a chance, etc., and the players that I've already mentioned, Niels Nkunku, John Joe Kenny, will have to be used at some point over the course of this really intensive fixture period. So hopefully that will be the case. So all I want to say is, let's stay positive. Yes, Saturday was disappointing. We had a few disappointing results, disappointing performances, particularly defensively, and that obviously is still an area of concern. But, things aren't as bad as we think if we just take a little step back and look at where we are, where we've come from, and the trajectory that we're on. So all I want to say at this point is just let's stay positive. Things are positive. There's frustration, yeah, but actually there's far more positives than there are negatives at this point. So, hopefully we can pick that up and, turn in a really good performance and a good result against Chelsea. It's going to be difficult. They're a very, very good team. Frank Lampard's got them playing really well. But we always got a chance. So cast your mind back a year and how well we played against them when the chips were down at Goodison last December. So, until episode 27, which will be coming after the Chelsea game at the weekend, stay positive. If you want to get in touch, feel free at NMTB Pod. Come on, you Blues.